What's up? What's up? Get this party started. Get this party started. Big Chad, Big Chonis. What's up, everybody? Big Chad's coming to you on a Saturday, December 18th. Time flies. How time flies when you're having fun. We're going to do a nice long-form interview with my man Big Chonis today. We're going to talk about the market. We're going to have some fun. Life is short. Be yourself. All right, folks, let's wind things down, wind the party down. Let me know if you can feel me. Let me know if you can hear me and see me. I'm checking out the chat room. I'm seeing everybody. Folks, these are fun, these YouTube shows. Chat rooms are crazy, so I can't exactly keep up with everybody. We will try to do a little bit of that, you know, that whole ask me anything kind of deal. We'll try to get your questions and all that when we can. But for now, let's just get the party started. I'm going to show you a couple things just to remind you. I'm on Twitter. I'm at Big Cheds. All right. Check out my YouTube channel. Hit like, hit subscribe. I've got a bunch of really good free stuff for you going on there. So if you're new to trading, you're just getting started, go to educational live streams. Watch these. They'll give you all the basics you need to know. They're hour-long. Moving averages I use, market structure, how to identify a trade, stop loss, profit taking, really a lot of stuff. So if you're new, it's like the first thing you should do is go watch these. I've got my book. It's on Amazon right now, Kindle, hardcover, paperback, and Audible. Boom, Audible's available. Check that out. If you can't afford the book or you can't buy it based on the country you're in, you know, what rules with Amazon or whatnot, go to YouTube. I've got the free series. I'm doing all 50 lessons. I'll eventually have all 50 up. I'll do lesson 10 probably Monday or Tuesday this week. Check that out. Some more free stuff. Go to the Crypto Banter YouTube. Hit subscribe. Go to their playlist, Trading Wisdom. I have 12 episodes, interviews with guests, market analysis. I'm very proud of the work that I've done there. And if you're really serious, you want to learn about trading, you want to learn kind of really the best-in-class educational platform for crypto, Bitcoin Live. I do twice a week long-form market updates there. So definitely check that out. So what I want to do is a really brief segment from the book, and then I'm going to roll into the show. What are we doing? Lesson 29. Really brief segment, right? Lesson 29, self-punishing. All right, folks. Saying what's up to everybody in the chat room. Let's see. Thanks for your comments there. Amazing book. I appreciate that. Can we talk about trade execution? We will do that. Love you, bro. I love you too. Yeah, baby. Let's go. What's up, Cheds? We got a lot of great energy there in the chat room. You guys are going to love my guest. I'm going to let him talk. We got a great guest, Big Chonis. So lesson 29, right? So self-punishing. Go easy on yourself. You cannot learn without making mistakes. Otherwise, there is no lesson to draw upon. There is no shortcut to becoming a good trader. Sometimes a mistake can be so bad that you think to yourself, if I can just survive this one bad trade and get back to even, I'll learn my lesson. You tell yourself desperately that you will not make the mistake again, all the while hating yourself for getting stuck in that position once again. Holding on to losing trades in the hope that you learn your lesson is a common form of self-punishment. Even as you know deep down inside that you should sell, you want to be stubborn and punish yourself by holding on to the trade, right? The problem with this type of thinking is once you emotionally recover from the loss, the same bad planning and desire to gamble will get you right back into trouble unless you adjust your strategy, all right? Self-punishing. So you're in a bad trade. You've kind of, you know, think about this. Every trade you enter needs to know when that trade idea fails. So very briefly, I'll just kind of reiterate. I'll give you a good example of this. All right. So if you had been a bull, this is back when that head and shoulders was forming, and you said, I'm long here because I see the head and shoulders forming. I've got the, the left shoulder, I've got a head, I've got a right shoulder, and I've identified my breakout level, the neck baseline, right? Whatever that was, 59K, 59.5K. And you went long somewhere, you went long early, which was a mistake, by the way. With the head and shoulders, you wait till it either completes or invalidates. But say you had just gone long, you went long early in here. When the head and shoulders failed, when this head and shoulders failed and that right shoulder was invalidated, that was a super duper mega sell signal. I tweeted it out. Other people saw it. That was at 55, 0.5K. We eventually dropped to 42K. If you bought in here and you just held, you made a mistake. And now you're probably holding on. You held to punish yourself, right? When your trade idea fails, right, you need to get out. So every trade you execute should be thought out, well planned out ahead of time. You should know what your trade thesis is. Here, the thesis would be that the price is going to reverse and continue, right? An inverted head and shoulders. And your failure point, your stop loss is whenever that idea fails. So self-punishing is like you keep making mistakes, you're having trouble, and you're so mad at yourself that you just hold on to the trade, hoping that if it's so bad, you'll change your behavior. Like, don't do that, right? Don't self-punish. So that's just kind of that. Let's get Big Chonis on the scene. Big Chonis, wave to me if you can hear me and if you're ready. Let's get you okay. Let's do it. Let's remove my screen. Let's bring up a really handsome gentleman. They call him the Big Chonis. Can you hear me, brother?
I can. Can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you, folks. This is Big Chonis. We've been doing stuff on and off for years. If you go back to the beginning of my YouTube, his YouTube, he's at Chonis Trading on YouTube. We used to do a lot of stuff together. We don't do it so much anymore. It's good to see you. Hopefully you've been well.
I've been well. Thanks for having me, Cheds. Congratulations on the book. And I appreciate the invite on your show here because it's been just an amazing year of Bitcoin price action in the crypto space. And I think it's kind of the cool thing at this stage, heading into the last month of the year, to reflect and to look back on what was 2021. And so much interesting information can be determined from, looking at the charts. And that's something that I'm excited to do with you today.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful, folks. He's on Twitter at Big Chonis. I'm going to go ahead and show you actually where that is, just in case. I don't want you to miss my man here. So Big Chonis right there. All right. Big Chonis on Twitter. He's on YouTube. He's not that active, but he's always kind of hanging around. So let's get this started. I'd love to kick it to you. Let's just, we'll bring up your screen if you want. I'll bring it up here. Why don't you just kind of tell us what's going on, how you're feeling about the market, and we'll kind of see how the conversation goes. That's the format of this long form series. I really want to stretch things out and see what people have to say. So let's rock and roll.
Yeah, buddy, I appreciate it. So listen, this has been just a crazy year of Bitcoin price action. We can think about where we started in January. Bitcoin was already on a major upswing.
Slightly too close. My fault. Go back a little bit further away. Just there we go.
Was on a major upswing heading into the end of 2020. And that upswing basically continued, into the new year. What's interesting is that we actually started the new year on what could arguably be a blow off top and had a big consolidation through the entire month of January. We went from 40K all the way back to 30K, and then just ripped expansion into February, into March, into April. And then our May crash, and this was a crash, it was almost a 50% move down here. That took a lot of equity, obviously, out of Bitcoin, but a lot of altcoins that had also run consistently, full send, straight up, all the way into that point. And a lot of this was the BNB coin running with the DeFi and the staking, and then the NFT started to come online around this time too. So all of that pumped together. And what was interesting about this topping pattern here, it was very much unlike the previous ones we had seen in Bitcoin's history.
Do me a favor, brother. Just a little further back. I'm sorry. Just see in the chat room. Sorry to mess you up your flow. Go ahead, brother.
No worries. Am I good now?
Yeah, you're perfect.
Check 1 2. Okay. So, we have a history of these blow off tops with Bitcoin, blow off top, blow off top. But what is this? What is this rounded kind of, mishmash here? Arguably, it could be an ending, wave diagonal, a three divers pattern. Sometimes you could argue as well. But we never really seen something like that for such a long time until this moment here. So it was hard for us to quantify that this was the blow off top of this particular bull run, and we were kind of consolidating. And because of that not being apparent, it wasn't a big shocker that we were able to basically regather momentum in the 30s there and then rip up all the way to where we ended up in the beginning of November at around $69,000. Now that November push coincided with the similar topping of U.S. equity markets. The S&P, the NASDAQ, and the Dow kind of had a similar topping area in this general time frame. And ever since then, over the past month or so, we've been in this very slow decline, very slow kind of drip with occasional pumps and then the big dump, and then we kind of slingshot back as we close out the month of February. The real chart, I think, that describes the whole year in full, and that I think is so fascinating, is the Bitcoin dominance chart. We literally started the year at a high here that would mark the top of Bitcoin dominance for 2021 was at the beginning of January. And this basically is a representation of all that money flowing into altcoins, basically the entire year here. This was Ethereum, this was Sol, this was AVAX and BNB, everything. And this was basically the market saying that we love Bitcoin still, but that we are comfortable enough to diversify and to pump tons of money now into these other coins. And of course, the exchanges took advantage of this by offering and throwing out so many more options to trade on leverage and spot. And that basically became the dynamic for this year. Access to trade, whether it's on Robinhood or Webull or all the other ones, eToro, Coinbase, that blasted what was, 3 or 4 coins, maybe 5 coins, with a whole spread of all these new coins that were coming on the market. What's interesting about this chart here, the dominance chart, is that since May, Bitcoin dominance has been in this zone of accumulation or distribution.
All right, we lost my man for just a second, or I was lost for a second. He'll be right back here in just a moment, folks. So that's fine. We're just going to roll with it for just a minute. I'm going to bring him back. There we go. Chonis, how we doing, brother?
Yep, sorry about that. So I think this has kind of set up some really interesting information as we go into 2022. Mm-hmm. And I guess what you have to ask yourself is, what are we expecting in Bitcoin dominance? Because what this currently represents is 40% of the market of crypto, basically is in something that's not Bitcoin. So there's Bitcoin maximalists that have been so for the past, 10 years, let's say, who are just arguing that everything is a S coin, right? That's not Bitcoin and should be ignored and should be just trashed or, looked down upon. And sure, there's risky assets in every asset class. But we can't argue with the fact that the tremendous gains from a pure, trading perspective, some of these coins had seen this year is phenomenal. And I think those people that have kept that Bitcoin maximalist mentality throughout this, as traders, have missed out on some tremendous trading opportunities. There's a tremendous amount of froth in this market still. And I don't believe that there's new money per se coming into the market currently. And that's a big deal. what we're seeing from price action from certain coins pumping while others are not is just, in my opinion, the same money sloshing around, trying to find a home, trying to find a narrative about this coin or that coin, this project or that project. And it's the same money still in the system. And that isn't a good thing for Bitcoin, or for crypto, let's say, in the near term to medium term, because only with that injection of new money can we basically take this whole industry to the next level, maintaining the gains we've had over the year in the chart, and then building on that next step of scarcity, reliability, security, and then does that induce a valuation of Bitcoin per se, back above 70K, and then more importantly, being able to hold that into a blow off top, which historically has what we've been seeing to mark the end of a very bullish cycle. And could that cycle end above 100K?
So, do you feel what kind of do you feel like we're in kind of like a risk on environment or a risk off, or kind of like what do you think?
Well, it's a great question because I could argue it both ways. I could say, well, Bitcoin's down to $46,000 as we're going into the last month of the year. And you could say, wow, is that bad or good? Well, I say it's relative. It's relatively thinking. Were you adding into Bitcoin, over 50K, over 60K? Are you patiently waiting for potentially another big dip, another black swan event? Are you looking at every dip in Bitcoin as a better opportunity to add to your portfolio, dollar cost average? Or do you not care about Bitcoin because you've done so well over the year, trading, everything but Bitcoin, all the altcoins here, which have offered a much more volatile experience of trading, let's say. So it's a great question, but it's a very hard question to basically answer at this point because to each his own. And that's
Mm.
the interesting thing right now. The market does its very best to try and screw both sides of the coin while
Oh
still
yeah,
holding an overall pattern. Now, what is
yeah.
the overall pattern of Bitcoin? Well, historically for years, it's just straight up. Basically we have this, you zoom out, you see, okay, we're consistently obviously holding higher lows, and every so often we put in these higher highs. So we keep on, rising this chain, but we can use oscillators, we can use moving averages to give us a sense of where this all lies in the overall perspective. I'm on the weekly chart here. My go-to EMAs, I know you're a fan of the EMA 8 on your
Hmm.
trading and everything like that.
Hmm.
It's interesting. You kind of remember the first few indicators that you learn as when you were early in your trading careers, and they always kind of stick
Your
with you.
first
So
girlfriend, your
exactly,
first crush.
always
Yeah,
remember.
yeah.
So for me, with the EMAs, the EMA 12 and the EMA 26 were two that I liked to watch consistently when I was trading back in 2017
And
and 18,
GDAX too,
and
right? Like GDAX Coinbase,
back in
isn't
the
that
old
default?
GDEX days.
Yeah.
Yes. But what it gave me was a sense of the appearance of what these two oscillators, as they swim together, are telling me about the price action of the chart. Are they spread out? Are they tight? Is this a situation here where we're in a bearish cross? Are we in a bullish cross? What does this historically tell you? So
Mm,
personally, I like to kind of hide the noise of the price
mm.
action, kind of hide the volume for a second here,
How dare
and we're
you?
basically and we're basically kind of ask ourselves here, what do these two swimming EMAs tell us from a historical standpoint here? And
Mm.
so we can go back here. Actually, let me go to it's a little more history here, if I may.
Hmm.
We'll go to the Bitstamp chart here and then really get
Okay.
us back. So this is great. This is kind of a roadmap to what these two specific. Now, there's no wrong answers in EMAs. If you want to use the EMA 5 and 10, or
Hmm.
stick with Fibonacci's, the 8, the 13, 21. There's no wrong answers in this. But what's important is to be consistent. So find a pair that you like or find one that's special to you and stick with it,
Yeah.
and learn how the price action ebbs and flows, amongst those things. So this is our bull market of 2013. As you can see, we went straight up here. We never crossed our EMAs, okay, until here, after our blow off top, but still, after the blow off top, but still the confirmation of this bear market wasn't created until, many percentages lower and many months after that blow off top. Same thing here with our 2018 bearish market. When do we confirm the bear market? It wasn't the price action that had come down thousands of dollars. It was the confirmation of the bear cross of the EMA 12 and 26, in my opinion, on the weekly chart, across which held until this major inflection here in April of 2019. Now, of course, we were way past the bounce, right?
Yep.
But from a weekly perspective, once we knew we had our bull cross after a lengthy bear cross cycle, we knew that we were in a bull market. We were in an uptrend that was confirmed by these EMAs on a higher time frame, the weekly. Of course,
you caught the meat of the move, right?
This would allow you, from a conservative trading standpoint, to catch the meat of the move based on this cross. Now, granted, on the weekly chart, you're more conservative. If I based it on the cross on the 3-day chart, I would have been in a little earlier, but it would have added a little more risk because of
the lower time frame, right? The lower time frame you go, kind of
the time change. So if you were here on the 5K range, you still had almost 9,000 Bitcoin move still ahead of you there. So it's okay if you're late. It just confirms it. Same thing over here back in our end of 2019 into our 2020 ones. Now, this was tricky because we had bear crosses and bull crosses and bear crosses. But this bull cross here in May of 2020, which again was way after the big dip, all right, but still at around Bitcoin 8K, offered the same trade. As long as this bull cross held, you could feel confident on the weekly time frame to ride this puppy out, and sure could have run it, all the way to, granted the cross itself didn't happen until Bitcoin went, in the 30s there. But that takes me to the next thing you try and look for is extremes on the bullish side, extremes on the bearish side. And we have examples of that too. We have what a blow off top from our EMAs look like. We have what a depression bear market on the downside looks like. We have what a mini bull market looks like. We have what a lot of chop can look like. And then we have something kind of similar to what we'd have on the past two bullish, blow off tops from a spread perspective here. So now we're doing kind of a mini spread. Here's our big spread. Here's our mini spread. We're still in a bull cross. I know we're down quite a bit from 69,000 down to 45,000,
like 40% maybe, or something like that.
Yeah, but we're still in this was a 30% move basically, but we're still in our bullish EMA cross, and that can continue for weeks here. So if you ask me, are we in a bullish trend? Are we in a bearish trend? It's hard to say that we're not still in a major bullish uptrend. Even if you take away the EMAs and just look at it from a equilibrium standpoint,
or like a line chart even. I mean, it's just
we have our high and we have our low, and then we have our higher high, and we still have our higher low. Whether you want to put it here or put it here.
Well, what's the level you're watching, right? With a higher low, and you want to know what's the level you think that the higher low needs to hold? Like if we're going to kind of go that route, what is the higher low?
Well, there's a couple ways I can look at this. Let's say this is a giant, and we'll do a little Elliott wave here. But let's say this is just a giant wave of consolidation. Here's our 1, here's our 2, and 2 never violated the start of 1. Here's our gorgeous wave 3 extension. And what we're doing here is some sort of a longer consolidation. There's terms of flat, running flat, irregular flat,
sideways flat,
which can basically just mean that we're just digesting a massive move from 4K to 40K or 80K or 69K, 5K, excuse me. So
Vodka?
there's nothing, yeah, a little early for that. So there's nothing from a technical standpoint that says you can't have this wave 4 that goes down to 30, up to 69, back down to 50 or back down to 40.
Mm-hmm.
And just put in that digestive chop that we see across the board
Mm-hmm.
in bullish, patterns. The market
Ask you a
ripped
question.
so hard and needs
Why
to
does
continue
wave
to
three
digest.
start there? Why is the wave three end there and not October 25th or whatever? You see what I mean? Like, why is
Why
wave
does it
three
end
there
here,
here and not in
not
that peak at the
here?
right? No, and not the peak at the
Oh,
right.
here.
Yeah, why wouldn't because I'm not an Elliott wave guy. So why?
It's a good question, because consolidations can go an extension above a 1-to-1, which means you can put in a higher high or a lower low and still be in a corrective phase. So this higher high, right, the 69 run
Mhm.
from 64 can be part of a lower high corrective wave 4 pattern that's still playing out. And what I mean by that is that we would basically be doing this to this and then come back down here, and basically we basically run the zone. We run the upper part of reaccumulation, we run the lower part of reaccumulation, and then we go to our final higher high breakout there. That can be the 5. Now, this is one bullish possibility. We could negate this, quite easily by just saying we're done. This was 3, this was 4, and this was 5. And 5 is just an extension of 3, but a real truncated one. We were only able to extend $5,000 from the ripper of 3. It's possible. We do see this as well. Which would be a very bearish pattern in the sense that we've already topped off and we're basically entering this long winter of bearish price action here. We don't know the answer to this yet. What will give us this answer is one of two things: a revisit of our 30K area, okay, that even breaks it a little bit, but has a very gorgeous V-shaped bounce. That would basically be induced by some sort of just real nasty red cascade, something we had here,
Panic.
back there. The stock market crashes, the Dow drops
Aliens
2,000,
land.
the Fed hikes rates 0.25%.
Kim Kardashian drops another video.
Or gets married again.
Yeah.
So yes, these are things that we've seen happen before. But the bigger the dump, the bigger the pump. It's like
Yeah.
kinetic energy is built off major crashes. Sometimes they need time to consolidate. Sometimes they bounce up like a spring.
Yeah.
So that kind of break can give us that that breakaway speed that would get us back up here pretty quickly. There was a time twice this year where all the Bitcoin wallets were in profit, okay, where we were up. Everybody that bought Bitcoin under 65K was in the money.
Yeah.
And then again, anybody that bought Bitcoin, up to 69K was in the money. So you have had two opportunities this entire year to basically take that win. So to sum all this up, the biggest question you have to ask yourself is, what are our expectations for 2022? Okay. We had such an incredible year in 2021. Tremendous fortunes could have been made, in some respects should have been made. And unfortunately, some people have just gotten annihilated in this market, buying the NFT market at peak high, buying the Binance coin staking DeFi thing, at nut high, buying certain altcoins like Dogecoin or Shiba Inu at nut high, and putting a lot of your capital into it. This market has a chance to humble us. I think what would make 2022 another banner year for crypto is the continuation of money flow coming into it. I
Mm-hmm.
think for that to happen, we need to see a bigger washout take place.
Yep.
We talk about, and Cheds, you and I have been in this for many years now, and it still blows my mind that we talk about Ethereum around $4,000, right?
Didn't you just say it was under 100? We talked about how it was just under 100, right?
You know, a year and a half ago, it was
Yeah,
$100. Now it's
that's crazy. Oh
$4,000.
my goodness.
Now we have to say, and granted, this is historic with crypto. We did it back here. I mean, Ethereum was $10 and it went to $1,400.
Right.
Is this just insanely from like a standpoint of valuation of how much it's moved over the past year without the meaningful retracements? An incredible bloated cow of a valuation, and how many other of these could you argue? The Souls, the AVAXs, is Ethereum Classic still worth $35? I remember this thing was
It is
$6
right now.
forever.
It is right now.
Not looking too great, but
No.
we can say, okay, where are we still?
Yeah.
And how much more has to come back down? What's
Okay.
also very fascinating to me is some of the coins, the loss leaders of this entire bull market. EOS, Link even, has kind of underperformed.
Lately.
Litecoin, they all had their moves, right?
Yeah.
But they ended up underperforming relative to a lot of the new coins that kind of came on the market.
You think people are once bitten, twice shy in that stuff, or what?
Well, we had the double pump of the year. We had the up to the summer of consolidation and reaccumulation. Like this summer's bearish price action of Bitcoin proved to 100% be reaccumulation of major altcoins that took them to the next level. So we are at a stage now where we've had two ripping bull markets in 1 year, you could argue. And we're getting, some tax selling as we end the year here. I think a lot of downward pressure is based on that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's block up some of those major gains. I know as traders, we sometimes think about time and price action in, expiration or just flips and day-to-day trading. But a lot of people think about these as yearly investments. So a lot of people, as the year ends, decide how they want to reinvest their portfolio and how they want to respread out a lot of their capital they've accrued over the year. So they made a killing in Bitcoin. They made a killing in Ethereum. They made a killing in a lot of these coins. They're taking some of that risk off the table now. And I think that will provide downward pressure at least until the end of the year. Most people are doing that right now and do that before the holidays. We got that week after Christmas where the market's open, another 4-day week again, the stock market. So there's a little more finishing touches, but everybody is repositioning themselves for what we'll expect in 2021. Literally New Year's Day of 2022, literally New Year's Day of 2021 was literally when the bull market started for the year 2021 and never looked back. So are we going to see day one just rip face off money flow bull market? I don't think so. I think we're going to see a little tepidness to the start of the year. I think we're going to see that relative basis to what we see in the overall stock market and how that ends the year out. Again, similarly, a lot of money was made in the market this year. Let's take some of that profit off the table. Let's diversify our portfolio as we enter the new year. One last chart, if I may, want to just briefly touch on. I had been a big fan of the CME gaps chart. We've talked about this over the past years, and it's historic in a few ways. All the major gaps of the chart have been filled, but sometimes it takes that a while, a year, sometimes even 2 years. All the previous gaps, on the weekly time frame, had been filled up until the gap at $9,000. And then since then, we have had several weekly gaps in the price action on the CME Bitcoin futures that are still open, along with our 9K one. There's one at 11. There's one here at $25,000. There's one here at $33,000. All the upside gaps have been filled. And I remember looking at this one here back in April when we had this breakdown, and then we're just kind of there to fill it a little bit. But I still felt this was open, and then sure enough, we came back here and were able to fill it months later. In my opinion, gaps fill, but it can take over a year or longer to fill them. I would not be surprised, and I am still under the belief that a lot of these lower gaps in the CME will get filled, and probably this year. And that basically foretells a Bitcoin price action back under 30K and potentially a lot lower. Will this be catastrophic for the market? Would it be a healthy corrective move? All these things can definitely be true. The reason I believe that the gaps get filled is because historically they have. Even if it takes months or years to fill them, every previous gap has been filled. So I will keep that construct as a continuation until proven otherwise. Now, in the stock market, most gaps do get filled. Some are open. There's an Amazon one from like 300. I think that's still open. So it's not a given that every one is filled all the way down. But these are massive moves in the price action. Big gap here, thousands of dollars. It's rare to see that. Sometimes the gaps are like just a little sliver, right? I just know it. I know sometime in 2022, Bitcoin will be trading in the mid-20s. I just know it will. So what do I want to do with that information? If I believe it in my gut, I can just say, okay, I'm going to have capital ready to go, ready to put in the market. If we get something like that, something like a real nasty pullback that brings us to those price levels, and potentially we'll be scaling into what might show to be a great buy valuation as we head into the year. There's still a ton of money in this market. It's kind of continue to go somewhere. I think we're going to see a continuation of random coins having random pumps that blow your mind. How quickly Sol ran from 20.
Yep. Sol, Luna, right? We saw Luna. We've seen AVAX. We've seen a bunch of these. I think we're losing you here for a second, but I know you'll be right back, brother. There you are. Hey, let me do a quick reset. Folks, we do have Big Chonis. You can find him on Twitter at Big Chonis. He's on YouTube at Chonis Trading. I want to take a couple of questions from the chat room. Maybe you can do lightning style, Big Chonis. And then I want to leave a little time. Our man, Chartman Dan, had a question, and I wanted to ask you about that kind of at the end. So real quick, guys, fire out your questions for Big Chonis. He's going to go lightning style, which is hard because the man's got a lot to say. But he's got lightning style. Let's see. What was the question I wanted to have you first answer? Let's see. Someone had asked, I got to find it. So why is it that every time Bitcoin drops that Ethereum, here we go. Thanks for the great show. I want to ask you, is the reason that after every Bitcoin dump, Ethereum recovers faster than Bitcoin? How would you respond to that question?
So it's a great question because it's kind of true. What we've seen is every major move in Bitcoin, Ethereum has a more volatile move, potentially on the downside, and then a much more bullish bounce on the upside. Ethereum has been by far the most volatile, by far, but you're right. Bitcoin moves and Ethereum seems to do a derivative exponential move of the Bitcoin move. Because it's been a very hot coin for specific reasons over the years, over this year. The use of Ethereum in the NFT market, the gas fees that everybody complains about, but it's and the smart contracts and whatnot. So it's a coin that has, on one case, tremendous potential and significance, right, in the future of crypto and how it's being used. And some would argue that it's dog shit and that it has so many issues with it and it needs to get upgraded and all the things they're trying to do, that Vitalik is potentially trying to do, to take ETH to the next level. But what we're seeing is with Sol and Polkadot and other ones is they're saying, hey, we can do what ETH does, but we can do it significantly faster, less fees, same stuff, all this stuff, create a similar ecosystem and provide all the benefits of Ethereum without all the limitations of it. And that's been a narrative that has worked in some ways this year, while Ethereum still remains a valuation of around $4,000. I think what 2022 has to prove is if the NFT market is a real thing, and if creating smart contracts can take it to the next level, is Ethereum going to be the king of that world, or are these other competitive coins that have significant backing financially, and maybe the team to build around that new ecosystem, can they displace that notion of Ethereum in doing so? Because that turmoil is consistent, that is why we continually see these very violent ebbs and flow of Ethereum relative to Bitcoin. It's been the most prominent from a bullish. I can't tell you how many times we've seen Ethereum just go, up 8-10 days straight. It's happened so many times this year. But do people feel that a valuation of $4,000 on something that was $100 a year ago, we get just way too ahead of our skis? And that will be determined, I think, in right way this year. If I can do all these things without paying the high fees that Ethereum requires me to pay, how many people are going to build new projects on something other than Ethereum?
All right, next question. Big Chonis. Would it be good to ape into Luna and Matic right now? Or should we wait for it to come back into support?
Yeah, 100% full send. You want to go 100x,
100x, 110x.
Mortgage the house, put it all in there.
Mortgage the camper.
So this is the way I answer this question is very simple. And think about it in terms of like Bitcoin, okay? Bitcoin at 50K, okay? There's calls this year that Bitcoin will hit 100K or 150K, or you got to blow off top to maybe 200K. All right, so that's a 1x or a 2x or a 3x or a 4x. All those would be very good moves. But we had seen in 2022 and 2021 coins do 10x, 20x, 30x, 40x, 100x, 1000x, 800x, moves. So these are the coins, what's the next Sol? What's the next Luna, right? What's that, Terra?
Luna, Luna.
Yeah, there it is. Bittrex. Wow, it's been there forever. So you have a coin here, Luna, that will just start with just only 2021, right? Is up 18,000.
Oh, is that it?
14,000%.
Yeah,
so it's a great looking chart. It's bullish as all hell. I'm sure we're off the scales on some higher time frame. Not too bad. I guess you want to talk about high. Yeah, this is an off the scales MACD on the weekly.
Yeah,
right? That is off the scales.
That's bullish. Don't you want to be long in that? Like if you just look at that, you're thinking, I want to be long, right? Whatever.
Except that the time and the length. Okay.
Okay.
We've done this move. Okay. And this is massive. But are you getting in here to get the next? Because let's say Luna does go to, $200-300 from where it is now.
Okay.
So let's go, it goes $200. Okay, so it's gone 14,000%.
Right.
But from here, we're only kind of 2x or 3x more. So is the risk to reward on Luna at this point what you want to be focused on? Or do you want to look for the coins that looked like Luna back when they looked like this, in 2020 before the pump? Find the charts that look like the ones that have run so much, and those are the ones you want to focus on for 2022.
So you like
A
to
lot of
play,
this,
you like the laggard. You think the laggards have more room to run because
you got to keep these things in perspective. This has been an incredible coin if you've been in it, at the early parts of this year.
Sure.
If you completely miss Luna up until this point, sure, there's probably some more meat on the bone here potentially, right? But all the good stuff, all that filet mignon has mostly, been absorbed here and taken up. And if you're buying into this here, you're buying into a coin that has so many people in the money so much, right? That them selling into you, okay, is the way
they make profit. We lost you here real quickly.
they're looking at this. And we have to train yourself to buy.
Hang in there, folks. He'll be right back. There you go. No.
As traders.
There you are, brother.
As traders, we try and teach ourselves the opposite of what makes us work, which is, or what we perceive that we're seeing. It's so hard to buy the red, and it's so hard to sell the green, right? But in most circumstances, that's when you get a winning trade. So it's a great question. It's hard to argue with this chart, but you have to ask yourself, is this just one that just got away from me? And I'll try and find something that could potentially, be the next Luna. And is that a better place to invest your capital?
But don't trends tend to continue? Like, there's buying the red, but don't you want to buy the red in an overall green structure? It's not just I want to buy the red in a red chart. You want to buy the red, right, in a green chart. So isn't that something to keep in mind as well?
Sure. Then I want to wait for a dip. I want to wait for the washout.
Yes.
When we talk about trading options and stuff, what's the best entry in that day? Well, it's to buy into a washout, to buy into some weakness.
Yeah.
Okay. If you're buying the big green candle of the day, then you're basically buying on the wrong side of a dominant position in that. There's no greater feeling than buying a nasty red candle and then having the follow-up of that be a big green candle. There's nothing better because your entry is so money that it takes so much risk off that trade. You're in the money, your entry is great, and then you can figure out how you want to scale out of that
or add more
and take your profits or potentially add more on additional washouts in here. So yeah, it's a great chart. But I wouldn't buy this now. Okay. I'd wait for a meaningful pullback. And if it keeps running without me, so be it. I'll find the next one. I'll find the one that looked like this before it had its big run.
So I know you've got history with Link and you've got like a big investor friend who is big in Link too. So the next question from our man, Ankit, if I don't know if I pronounced the name right, but what do you think about Link? Kind of what do you got for us there?
I would like to talk about Link on the on the BTC pairing than the USD pairing.
Okay.
Link has been an underperformer this year, arguably. Now, say about Link to like what $3, and it topped off at around $50. So it's still a massive move, and relative to its peers, right? It's still. Has had a great year. It had a great, 2020. But what that has shown us is that it really hasn't done the big divergence from Bitcoin and has been in a negative divergence to Bitcoin since August of 2020. Okay, so there's nothing in the link to BTC chart that shows me that Link is prepared to overperform or outperform Bitcoin, except
All right, we're still there, Big Chonis.
for
Go ahead. Start again from accept. Start again from accept.
Yep.
All right, sorry.
Except, yep, sorry about that. My internet here apparently is
Pay your bill. Pay your bill.
is that we are still holding this zone here, which was major resistance here, major resistance here, and now this is our double tap of it, right?
It's a big
Now
level.
we had a great bounce on it at the beginning of the year. Boom, boom, boom. And now we're coming back to it. So we gave back all the bullish dominance that Link had accrued against Bitcoin in 2021, peaked in May, and has been coming back down ever since. Now, personally, I'm not a big fan of major supports being tested again over such a long time period. Because normally at some point they're going to fail. If you liked it here, you had all this time. Now we're back here again. What are we doing? So from a BTC dominance standpoint, it's not super bullish, but the consolidation is still holding. And I am a fan of consolidation over long periods. So if we can continue to maintain this support, I can get re-bullish on Link with that, looking for that divergence in dominance to Bitcoin. But for now, this has been a lagger through the latter half of the entire year, and this chart, still shows that, even though the price USD is still $20 or so, right?
Still pretty good. Still pretty good.
It's still pretty good, but there isn't anything in the BTC chart that's showing me the relative strength to Bitcoin just yet.
So let's see. One last question from our man, Chartman Dan. He wants to know, what does he say? It's about, so he said, plant this. Don't forget to plant the seeds. People should be ready for our basically the U.S. cannabis run in the coming years. You said wait for momentum, not to enter in weakness, and kind of the momentum around voting season. We get those kind of hypes when we have like states up for voting. Like, what are your thoughts on kind of that market? I know you monitor many markets, so I think we'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I'm always looking to trade whatever trend or what have you is on the up and up, and where the money is flowing. I've been the mushroom stocks for just this year. I'm back. And I think what chart really puts into perspective where this market currently is this Tilray chart, which is a disaster. It had an incredible pump in the beginning of the year in February, and has been a bleeder ever since, with a couple pumps here and there. Money into the cannabis sector, more or less this year, has been dead money since about February of March of 2021. The mushroom stocks had a great pump earlier in the year, and then have been dead money as well ever since. So these have been two terrible investments for most of 2021, especially the latter half. Give or take a few pumps here and there and a few trading opportunities here and there, but have been terrible places to put your money over the latter half of 2021, which can set up a great counter rally for the beaten down sector in 2022. Now, historically, we like to see the cannabis stocks pump in November. A lot of that did happen to coincide with voting and with states across America opening up the cannabis industry to investors and stuff like that. We've always had a good pump at the beginning of the year as well, which many of us are actually looking for as we get into January, a few weeks away. So it's a great question, because what it basically asks us is, you know, is this industry that was so beaten up the past half of the year ready to get money flowing back into it? And the first thing we're going to start to watch is the MJ big caps that have been where we've typically seen initial money flowing into. I'm shocked at the destruction of some of these stocks, but I'm not surprised because it just felt like it was a crowded trade through much of the year and kind of felt too obvious. And so far that had been proven quite right. But what Dan, I feel, was alluding to, like him, we have traded these stocks over the years. And when they do pump, when they do have a major run, whether it's the ones that are based in Canada or the US ones, whether it's the NASDAQ ones or the OTC ones, they tend to go up in unison, and they tend to have very good explosive moves that last weeks, if not months. So as a trader, I'm going to be prepared and positioning for that and looking for that major thing which is needed in all stocks, and that's money flow. And we're not seeing that in any of the big runners, CGC, Tilray, AM, Aurora, all the Canadian ones. And we've also seen this year some of the mushroom stocks come into play. And this is just a quick example of how early in the year, major pumps, and then they've been dead money ever since, and are flowing back into those price ranges of the original pump, oh so long ago. So I'm looking for great things in these stocks in 2022, but that's not to say that we don't have a lot lower to go before we get that. But these, like altcoins, okay, once they find their stride, can pump hard. And it's all about the narrative, though. It's all about the narrative of people thinking that this is money that is a great investment, like the EVs were this year. Tesla pulled up so many EV stocks along with it. Mushroom stocks can do the same thing. You just need a catalyst, and a company like, a NASDAQ company like CMPS, which is a horrible looking chart, right? Full round tripper. I've watched this one since the beginning. What a fake out this was. So this is the extent of those alternative industries, and unfortunately, I think this is what a lot of these EV stocks over this year are kind of start looking like as well. All this or basically have looked like as the money in the mid caps, the small caps, has just been gotten decimated, while the markets are at all-time highs because only a few select stocks, Apple, Microsoft, etc., are keeping the indexes, which have a much higher weighting in those stocks, so much better looking. Incredibly challenging over the latter half of the year.
I love it, folks. That is the man, the myth, the legend, Big Chonis. He doesn't do a lot of stuff because he's too busy living life and loving life. And we love having him here. But when he's around, when he agrees to do something, we try to grab him. I did mention he's on Twitter at Chonis, Big Chonis. He's on YouTube at Chonis Trading. Do you want to anything else you want to say before we wrap?
Yeah, maybe you'll be a lot more active on the social medias in 2022. I've enjoyed my time off of Twitter. And just try to focus this year on my skills and trying to block the noise.
Bow skills,
archery. But I think, a lot of people that had the laser eyes have been humbled.
Yeah.
And I think the ease of this market at certain times of this year were amazing events, and I don't think will be as easy as they played out this year as they will into next year. The money printing from the Fed is slowing. The stimulus checks have ended.
Mm-hmm.
The lockdowns hopefully have ended. So a lot of the things that got people sitting in front of their computers with free money and very simple trading platforms to put dumb money into coins that look like dogs.
Mm-hmm.
I think that market's over with and are continuing to unwind. And I think 2022 will be a lot more challenging, but will offer significant trading opportunities. And I think that's what I'm most excited for and focused on. And as traders, the more you trade, I think the more conservative you get, because you realize there's a ton of luck in trading.
Yeah.
But to withstand and to stay in this game for the long run, you need to find a better level of skill, discipline, risk management. And I think a lot of new traders that found it incredibly easy to make money this year will not find that next year. And that hopefully will make them learn best practices when it comes to trading: stop losses, risk management, portfolio management, when to take money off, how to take profit. I think a lot of these things people just let Jesus take the wheel. And
Yeah. Right.
there were times this year that it totally worked.
Yeah.
And it was hard to convince a bull that this was such a special opportunity from a market standpoint.
Yeah.
So I think 2022 was kind of humble a lot of people. But if you're serious about this, and if you want to do this as a career, if you quit your job because you're doing so well day trading and you want to make it stick into this year and the years ahead, finding those best practices and studying those books or Audible books
What?
that have been written recently that can
Yeah.
help new traders avoid some of the old mistakes that some of us old time traders do. So with that, I appreciate you having me on your show, Cheds. And
Yeah.
once again, congrats on the book. Thank you for everybody hanging out with us today on this fine Saturday.
Absolutely. Oh, we're so glad to have you, man. Big Chonis. That's my man, Big Chonis. There you go, brother. We love having you on. We'll hopefully have you back soon. And all the best to you, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Cheds. I appreciate it.
All right, brother. Peace out. That's my man, Big Chonis. He doesn't play around. I've known him a long time. He's a great trader. I'm going to give you just a little bit of information before we wrap things up. Real quick, someone just asked me, let's see, mention the books behind you, especially classical charting. I have the book here for classical charting. You want to start with Technical Analysis and Stock Market Profits by Richard Schabacker. You definitely want to get started with that for classical charting. And CMT is worth it. I love CMT, Charted Market Technician. So listen, the weekly chart for Bitcoin, we're still looking at this weekly MA50, the simple moving average, the orange line, right? We've maintained a candle close above that MA50 really, since that 8K area, since we broke out back in April, May. We started to accelerate and broke out. So your job as a technician is to identify the trend, ride that trend as long as it's profitable. And while you're doing that, you're looking for signs of trend weakening. So every time we've kind of come close to this 50 moving average, we found support there and bounced, right? In this current move, from the middle of last year, through the end of this year. We're right there. We've got a day and just over a day left. Closing right here wouldn't really be closing below it. It'd be closing right at it. But we want to close a little higher. We want to close above that 50. If we really close a little bit lower, below 46K, I'd start to really get concerned about your long position and start to think that there's a decent chance we're going to sweep these lows again, 42K, and then probably at some point maybe even test the bottom of this channel around 30K, right? The bottom of that channel, which is where we did that 80-day rectangle, back in May, June, July of this year. you got to be careful, right? We know how the top came. Check my other videos. I'm not going to waste your time. We saw the signs of trend weakening up here. We took profit. We're good chart technicians. We did well. We sold on that clear break of 55.5. And now we're kind of waiting because we're in an unsure place, right? We're right at the MA 200. We closed just below it, just one close. So the daily chart is still mostly intact, but we're starting to show signs of weakening on the daily chart, and the price on all these bounces getting rejected by the 8 EMAs. You see kind of the novice traders, the moon boys, the hype pumpers getting you excited every time we bounce into resistance. Don't fall for it. Bulls need to regain the EMA 8. And they, at a very minimum, bulls need to get back up above the head and shoulders, right around 53.5, right? So we're watching for bull momentum to go long again, and we're watching kind of the weekly time frame. We need to hold the MA 50. So that 50 on the weekly time frame. That's kind of where we are still at. If this isn't enough for you, if you want more of my TA, check my videos. I've done a bunch of videos recently, and they kind of lay that out. You can find me, of course. I'm on Twitter. I'm at Big Cheds. Trading psychology, academic observations about the price, trading wisdoms. That's what I do. I've got my book, of course, which has done incredibly well. And I want to thank each and every one of you for your support. Trading Wisdom. I have the free version of the book on my YouTube channel. Go to Ched's Trading, hit like, hit subscribe. Appreciate your support. Trading Wisdom playlist. I'm going to do all 50. I'm going to put the whole book up there for free eventually. If you're just starting, you want to learn how to trade, you must check on the, well, this is good, long form interview series, but you want to go to educational live streams. Over an hour, I go through, it's a full masterclass technical analysis series for free. All right. This is better than whatever paid group you're in. Watch it. How to set up your trade, moving averages. If you're new and you're just getting started, you got to watch this stuff. And I get a lot of questions all the time on Twitter. Folks, my account's growing fast, and thank you for that. Please watch these videos. It'll save me time. We'll save you time and frustration. Go to Crypto Banter on YouTube. You can go ahead and check out that playlist, Trading Wisdom. I've done 12 episodes on there where I talk about market structure. I read from my book. And of course, I have great guests. I've had really, really great guests. I've been blessed by that. The book is on Amazon, Kindle, hardcover, paperback, and now Audible book. I know a lot of people who don't like to read. Check out the Audible book. Hopefully you do enjoy that. But, I am Big Cheds. I love doing this. I love doing these streams. There's no real guarantee of when I'm going to do the next one. So I try to work it in. I don't want to get too burned out. So I'll do them when I can do them. That's kind of where I'm at. I want to say thank you, folks. I appreciate all your support. Hopefully you're having fun as we do this. I know I am having fun, every day. I try to get a little better every day as a trader. That's what you need to do. It's a long journey, so you got to keep grinding. So let's get this party started. Stay safe, folks. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope you have a fantastic holiday. Much love. Much love from Big Cheds, folks. Take care out there. Stay safe. Keep grinding.